Welcome everybody to the brand new year 2025. Today we're going to be diving in and talking about and giving my tier list of predictions of box office success and bombs in the year 2025. There's a lot of movies coming out this year, and I thought this would be a fun concept. Then Sean Chandler, a good friend of the channel, decided to do this video before me. Well, I have a newborn, so that's the reason that this is a week late. I planned to do it like literally the same week of New Year's, and that just did not happen. So here we are. And since Sean did it before me, we're going to use his tier list. So shout out to Sean Chandler. I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably already know him. I also know there's a ton of other creators doing the same stuff, but Sean Chandler is the one that I definitely already saw did this. So thank you so much again for everyone who's already surpassed me. I hope you still enjoyed this. I have some weird and wacky takes on this, but that is why I'm still doing it, because I definitely love talking about the box office. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button for more movie and TV content over here on a weekly basis. Of course, let's get started. Starting out with this list, and I really liked how Sean broke this up primarily. I want to just kind of get one of the obvious ones out of the way, and that is Avatar, Fire, and Ash. We're going to jump that right over into the $1 billion club. For me, there is no doubt about it. We should not count out James Cameron anymore. The first Avatar was unprecedented at the time of how much money that movie made. It's still the highest grossing film of all time. And when the second one was coming out, there was still a lot of naysayers saying, I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. I knew it was probably going to make $1 million. I didn't expect it to make $2 billion. It never even got close to touching what the first one did. I don't think any of the films ever will. But I'm still predicting that Avatar, Fire, and Ash, it's the most obvious one. It's going to hit $1 billion. It'll most likely be the highest grossing film of this year as well. And just as a kind of thing, I do think there is a chance that it does hit $2 billion, but we have to see how it plays out. Now jumps me into my next guess, and we're just going to start from the start. And that is 28 years later. This is a film that I'm very excited about. Now, 28 days later and 28 weeks later, for me, aren't like the highest grossing films ever. They're not giant blockbusters for me. These are kind of like smaller scaled zombie films and horror films. So for this one, I kind of see it going around the 200 plus mark at the most. I think there's an argument to be made that there's no way it touches 200 million. I think these films have grown on people over the years. I think people have been clamoring for a 28 years later. It has Danny Boyle coming back. Alex Garland's writing the script. There's a phenomenal cast in here. The trailer was amazing. I think if I hadn't seen that trailer, I probably would have said under 200 million. But the fact that 28 years later just looks amazing, I can see this one hitting 200, and then the rest of the trilogy that they're planning out just growing from then on, as long as the film is good at least. Which now brings me up to the Ballerina, and I'm actually going to sneak this one in the same spot of 200 million and up. Now, I'm a massive John Wick fan. I love the John Wick franchise. I even kind of enjoyed the Continental, but this is like really the first massive spin-off in this universe, and they delayed it an entire year to go back and give it more action because it was already getting good test screenings, but let's pump in what exactly fans of the John Wick franchise are looking for. And Ana de Armas is a hot and rising star. A lot of people love her. I think she's a phenomenal actress, but this is the first one without calling it John Wick. I know it's like technically based in the world John Wick. I know Keanu Reeves is in it. I finally saw the trailer and he shows up, and I've heard that he's in it quite a bit. I think this could get it over that hill of 100, 150 million, but I don't know if it gets past 250, 280. I think it's just going to kind of settle in right around there. I think the film's going to be great, and I think if we end up getting a sequel to this, it'll only go up from there. But since this is, we don't know how much John Wick is actually in here, and if the marketing is just what is kind of in there, maybe for a couple scenes, but time will tell. I'm excited for this, but I don't think it's going to go over 300 million. Then up next, we have one that actually the box office projections started coming out today for opening weekend, and this is Captain America Brave New World, a film that has had massive reshoots, has been delayed countless times. This one is very hit or miss. Now, the opening weekend projections are almost 100 million, around there, but that's if word of mouth is good. That is if this film is good. That could easily fall lower. We've seen that with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where it had a higher projected box office prediction, and then it just really, that opening weekend, it still did fairly decent, but not as great. I'm going to put Captain America in the 300 plus. I don't see it hitting 500, but I think it ends around 450 to 480. I think that's pretty safe for a first and new Captain America with Anthony Mackie starring. I think you have Red Hulk, which intrigues a lot of people. But I also think that a lot of people are a little bit over the Marvel Universe. Yes, everyone flocked out for Deadpool and Wolverine. Will they flock out for a new Captain America? We will see. I hope so. And I think if the film is good, that word of mouth will definitely carry it. We'll find out in a couple weeks. I just got my early screener invite, so you'll definitely be getting that review from me. Now we have Elio. Now, Elio is an interesting one. This is the brand new Pixar movie. It's an original story, not based on anything else. I think this is from the director of Coco, if I'm not wrong, which Coco was phenomenal. And there's been some rumors circulating that there's issues around the film. I have actually never seen the trailer for this, so I can't speak too much to Elio, but what I can speak on is I know 2 people have actually seen an early rough cut of the film before any of the rumors had circulated. They really liked the movie, and they have not been the biggest fan of Pixar thus far right now in this new era. So I'm going off what they said. I'm going off that maybe Pixar went back, took some time with it. I'm also going off the fact that Inside Out 2 was just such a success. I think, weirdly enough, now this film is opening the same weekend as How to Train Your Dragon. That's a little bit of a worrisome for me, kind of the same market thing, but I'm going to do Elio at 300 plus. I think there's a chance it hits 500 if it has an Elemental type run where it's just sitting in theaters forever. And I hope it does succeed because I'd like to see Pixar continue to succeed. But I don't see Elio going any higher than 480 million. Kind of the same thing with Captain America. So you might disagree. You might think this is going to bomb. This might be way lower. I think personally there is a little bit more love for this movie, so I'm counting it up a little bit higher than that. Plus it's Pixar. Families are going to flock out to it. And let's jump out of a family-friendly film, and that's Mortal Kombat 2. Now this one, I'm thinking 200 plus million as well. I don't expect this one to blow up. I've heard decent things from test screens. I've also heard some bad things. It feels very mixed, and I'm really curious to see what they can pull off here. If the trailers are awesome, and again, Mortal Kombat fans flock out like they did with the original one, which the original one that came out back during COVID times when Max was also just deciding to put all their films day and date release, that film still made some good money, and that was with it premiering on a streaming service the same day. I can see this one doing a little bit better than that one, but not doing all the money in the world. Then let's jump into one of my favorite little creatures of all time, and that is Lilo and Stitch. We're putting him at 750 million. Now, this is the one I kind of went back and forth on deciding to put between $1 billion or 750. And part of me still is not resonating. Like, part of me still thinks I probably should just take the risk and put it at the $1 billion mark. But at the same time, I also don't know how the film's going to play. We haven't seen a full trailer. It's been a lot of teasers and just what does Stitch look like. And I'm liking what I'm seeing. I love the director of this. He did a phenomenal little film called Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And Stitch is my favorite Disney animated film. My generation, like my graduating class, all the kids around me, they are grown up now. And they all grew up with Stitch. Anytime I share anything with this like live action Stitch with just like my old high school friends, like they clamor to it. They love it. And I think for me, that showcases that they're going to, if they have kids, they're going to take their kids to see it. It's a whole new generation being influenced and introduced to Stitch now. I think this film doesn't get past 800, maybe can get up to 900. It's opening against Mission Impossible. It's coming out in the summer. It's kind of a hard-hitting thing. I think it sits in theaters for quite a while, but this is one of those ones that maybe would have done a little bit better around Christmas time of some sorts. But I don't know. I think Lilo Stitch is going to make a lot of money. I really hope it makes $1 billion, and I hope I'm wrong. Let's get into Five Nights at Freddy's 2. This is another one that I think kids are excited for. Fans of the games are probably excited for, but people who just went out opening weekend the last time kind of walked away disappointed. So this one, I'm going to go under 200 million. I think it gets maybe 150 at max. And I think the fans are going to go out opening weekend like they did with the last one. But I think you're going to lose some of that opening weekend flair from people who weren't a fan of the first. And maybe if the film is better than the first one and word of mouth is good, they're going to end up being like, okay, let me go second weekend to see how this actually turns out. I think this franchise has a lot of like goodwill to it and a lot of excitement. But that first film was just more fun, if anything, and a little bit forgettable. I enjoyed it for what it was, but if I wasn't reviewing movies and doing this, I don't think I would even plan on seeing a Five Nights at Freddy's 2 in theaters opening weekend or at all. I'd probably just wait until it hits streaming. Speaking about films that typically go to streaming but is actually hitting the theaters, we have F1. This is a brand new Brad Pitt film directed by Joseph Kosinski, who made Top Gun Maverick. This film has been like being shot for years. And Top Gun Maverick made a lot of money, and there's a lot of fans of F1. I'm going to say this one goes 200 plus million. I know there's going to be some people who are predicting this to go a little bit higher, but the way that Apple has been kind of marketing their films, a lot of people just still don't get that they're going to theaters. And I just don't see F1, depending on how the marketing goes and depending on word of mouth, I just don't see it going over 300 million. Like I genuinely can't see it going any higher than that. And Brad Pitt's a movie star. Joseph Kosinski, again, directed Top Gun Maverick. They're going to market the hell out of both of those things. For me, I don't see the urge or the need for this, but I might change my tune once I see some of the marketing kind of play out. Another one that kind of just really depends on that marketing is Karate Kid Legends, which is another one that I'm actually going to put under 200 million. I know the Cobra Kai fan base is huge, but how does this tie in? I have questions on all this. That trailer was really good. There's a whole bunch of people that love Karate Kid. But are people really going to flock out to go see a new Karate Kid film? I can see it doing good for the budget that it has. I just don't know if it's going to go over 200 million. I think this is the one that I'm probably going to be the most wrong on, but I think it again depends word of mouth, excitement from fans. How does Cobra Kai end? How does just the people who have not stayed up with Cobra Kai, don't know anything about it, but know about Karate Kid, know about Jackie Chan, know about that remake? You have two different kind of nostalgic plays here. You have the people who grew up with Ralph Macchio, you have the people who grew up with the Jaden Smith Karate Kid, and then you have the new generation and those families that are going to want to take those. So I can see the reason they made this movie. I can see all the ways that this movie succeeds, but I can also see it just doing fine at the box office. About another one that I think just does fine is Tron 3. I think this one's at 200 million. 200 plus million, let's say that. I think Tron has never been a box office success. I think also with the likes of, I think a lot of people really enjoy the original and they have nostalgia. Tron 2 did fairly well, but it never got the sequel that it actually should have. And now we have Tron 3 with Jared Leto leading. Again, hard to tell because there's no trailer, there's no marketing yet, which just stills and some existential concept. Nine Inch Nails doing the score, which is cool, but I don't think that really garners too many people who'd run to the theater to see it. I think if the trailers are awesome, I can see this playing out pretty well. But at the same time, I also don't think people are like the biggest fan of Jared Leto now. And I can see them being turned off by seeing this film because of him as the lead. I can also see some of them just seeing a mindless, another sci-fi film and maybe having no nostalgia to the last two Tron films and at the same time being like, okay, yeah, I don't need to see that. I think almost 300 million it could make. I think this one's going to be more successful on the worldwide box office. So I'm curious to see this one, but I don't think it's going to go any higher. I want to talk about one called The Bad Guys 2. The first Bad Guys was really fun and kind of a surprise, and Bad Guys 2 is coming out this year, and this is kind of one of my Hail Marys I'm going to throw out there. So I actually think The Bad Guys 2 is going to hit 500 plus million. Now, some people will be like, dude, you're fucking crazy. The last one did not make that much, and I know it didn't, but that's kind of the point. The trailer reactions that I've kind of seen around this one, there's been a lot of interest. The first one had a lot of big following. A lot of people really liked it on streaming. Kids grew up with that now. The books are a little bit bigger too. I think worldwide, this film is going to kill. This film is going to kill, and it's going to do amazing just for that fact. And I think if it's a great film, it's going to sit in theaters for a while and garner that word of mouth. As long as Universal doesn't decide to throw this thing on VOD a month later, I can see Bad Guys 2 grossing this. I can even see it grossing up to 600 million personally. I'm just wild. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. Speaking of another animal movie, Zootopia 2. This is actually one of the few that I do think can hit the $1 billion mark, and I'm going to put Zootopia 2 here. Zootopia did make $1 billion. It sat in theaters forever, and it's one of the best Disney animated films of the last decade. And it's been a while since we've gotten a sequel. A lot of kids who have now grown up, such as Inside Out, have now grown up a little bit more and now are going to be excited for this. Parents who took their kids to see Zootopia when they were younger, maybe one of their first films, are now going to be able to take them to see the sequel. And I see the Inside Out effect happening here for Zootopia 2. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wild. Maybe I'm crazy. I just think that this is going to do good. Plus, like the one little clip, like when D23 was going on, and one of the little images I shared on Twitter, it blew up. So I think there's a lot of fan base for Zootopia 2. Furries, I know you're out there. I know it. That's why. Speaking about a film that comes out the exact same day as Zootopia 2, I really think one of these films is going to get moved around either before or after, but we'll see. But this is Wicked Part 2, or Wicked for Good. I think Wicked is going to end up at the 750 million mark for the second part. I don't see it hitting $1 billion. I think it can get pretty damn close, but Wicked for Good is going to make a lot of money. The first one was garnered, was loved. People who aren't fans of musicals really enjoyed it, loved it to some degree. I saw it in a lot of people's top 10s, and it wasn't in my top 20. I really liked it. But for me, the fact that so many people just like got turned on to this is exciting. I also think the fact that it's garnered all that love, and it's just going to keep moving forward. Now, again, Universal just played out and they made a lot of money on VOD. I'm curious to see how long they leave this one in theaters. I think if they would have left this one a little bit more longer in theaters than when VOD, it probably would have succeeded a little bit more. Now, I'm going to put this on the contrary that there's a chance that Wicked for Good could make $1 billion, depending on how the Oscars play out. If Wicked Part 1 wins Best Picture or gets nominated for a ton of awards, I think there's a chance that pushes Wicked for Good into the $1 billion category, but I think for right now it just gets pretty close but doesn't actually hit it. We want to speak and continue to talk about Universal movies who are going to hit $1 billion. Jurassic World Rebirth, I think, or Reborn, or whatever the hell this one is. It's a new Jurassic World movie directed by Gareth Edwards, who I absolutely love. I think he did an amazing job with the creator. And it's David Knopp writing the script, who did the original Jurassic Park. Like, that's exciting. It also has Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey. I mean, the cast is stacked here. We don't really know the concept. None of the marketing's really started yet, but it's dinosaurs. The last 3 Jurassic Park movies all made $1 billion. People love dinosaurs. I don't know. Like, this one's risky. I think there's a chance it might not hit $1 billion, but I think if the reviews are good, it might pull people in and just have it sit in theaters for quite a while. Now, let's talk about one that I think there's a chance it does good and there's a chance that it just bombs, and that is the Minecraft movie. Now, Minecraft for me, I think, is still pretty big into some children's eyes. Now, it may be a little too late. I think that's the truth. Like, I grew up playing Minecraft, and I played it when I was in 7th grade, and it's been a long time since 7th grade. So I know Minecraft. The first trailer at least, was not the greatest. I liked seeing the world, but overall it didn't grip me. The second trailer was a little bit better, but it still doesn't seem like it's grabbing people. I'm going to say Minecraft goes into 200 plus million, but I think it literally lands around 200 million. I think worldwide it's going to do good. I think domestically it does decent opening weekend, and if it's a good movie, it's going to sit in theaters for a bit with kids wanting to go see it. If it doesn't get the best word of mouth, I can see it kind of just tapering off right under 200 million. But I think there is interest enough in this film that there will be people who have to take their kids to see it. I think that's where the money's going to come from. Up next, we have Mission Impossible Final Reckoning, which is coming out the same day as Lilo Stitch. I think that's dumb. Tom Cruise, move the damn movie, please. I think this one's going to go around 500 plus. I would hope it would be $1 billion. I would wish it would be more. But Mission Impossible is not Top Gun. People love Tom Cruise, and Dead Reckoning was amazing, but it was a part 1, and I think that may have turned off some people. And while they've gotten rid of the part 2, I still see Final Reckoning maybe not hitting the marks like it should. I think, again, it's going to do good. It's going to be a great movie. I'm like very for sure on that. I just don't see it going any higher than $700 million. And if I have to put it on a tier list, that's where it's going to be. I have a lot of films in the 750 plus million mark, but I actually want to take a bet on one, and that is going to be How to Train Your Dragon, the live action film. Now, I think, again, my zeitgeist, my generation grew up with these films from DreamWorks. They, just like Lilo and Stitch, it was like the perfect time frame. And it was actually one of the film sets that I didn't really watch till the third one was coming out. And I was like, wow, these movies are great. I don't think a live action remake was needed. I'm interested to see it. I'm interested to see what they do with it. But I think people like me who now have kids are going to want to take their kids to see this. And Toothless looks amazing in live action. Same thing with Stitch. So I think there is a chance that the film grows. And if it's good, people are going to flock to the theater to see it. It's just one of those films that, like, if you ask someone, have you ever seen How to Train Your Dragon? Yes. Do you like it? Yes, I think that's a really good movie. I can see that here, and there's this appeal with the general going audience of wanting to see these live action films. So I think there's a chance. Let's get the last live action film out of the way, Snow White. I think Snow White clears 200 plus million, and that's about it. I don't think this one's going to do great. I think Rachel Zegler, Gal Gadot all have kind of different things going on. The trailer looks decent. Mark Webb is a cool director. I like his style. I've just never really cared for the Snow White story, like, at all. Like, I've just never genuinely cared for it. So I don't have nostalgia for this movie. I'm assuming it'll at least be good, but I don't have any eagerness. Like, if I was not reviewing movies and I wasn't trying to go to the theater every weekend, I don't know if I'd go see Snow White. And I feel like a majority of the general going audience is going to feel that way. A majority of that general going audience is definitely going to go see Megan 2.0, and another one that it's going to make a lot of money, but for its budget, under $200 million. The reason I say that is because the first one made a lot of money, but kind of here's the same way. I think this one's coming out during the summer. I think there's a chance it succeeds, but also horror films usually just get their opening box office. Then they kind of sit in theaters for a long time. And knowing Universal, they're probably going to put Megan on streaming or VOD within a couple of weeks. So I don't see it going over 200 million, but I see it making its budget back, and that's all that matters. So we get into, let's finish out the last horror one, which is The Conjuring, The Last Rite. This is the final one of the Conjuring film. Depending on how Warner Brothers markets this, I think this one can do really good. And I'm actually going to say 300 plus million. I think it tapers off around 320. The last one was fairly decent, but I think the first two really hold a grip on a lot of people. And to see Ed and Lorraine coming back, knowing that this is their last adventure with these actors playing these characters or real life people, it's going to be interesting. If that trailer is scary, I think it sells us. If it's not, and it doesn't really look great, then maybe it's lower than that. But I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to say I think it's going to make a lot of money, and I'm excited. The last three films we have to talk about are 3 comic book movies. And I'm going to get Thunderbolts out of the way and say Thunderbolts makes around $500+ million. The trailer is amazing. I love this trailer so much. I think you have an all-star cast. Florence Pugh is at the top of her game. A lot of people love seeing her. Sentry, I think once they finally show him in the trailer, is going to intrigue a lot of people. A lot of people love their Bucky. A lot of people love Red Guardian. You're getting this ragtag group of soldiers in the Marvel Universe. And if the next trailer is only better, I can only assume that Thunderbolts makes and succeeds to a lot of money. I think there's a chance it even gets close to 700 million personally. I think this does better than Captain America, and I very much am for sure it'll probably be a better movie, but I'm very excited for Thunderbolts, and I think word of mouth on this one's going to be great. It's kicking off the summer, so Marvel movies that kick off the summer typically do pretty well. And leading to that, let's end the last Marvel film on Fantastic Four, which I'm going to put 750+ million. People might say I'm insane. Fantastic Four has never made anything even close to that. There's a lot of bad publicity for this. I don't care. I think Marvel has something so special here. And if you would have told me a year ago before I saw anything at Comic-Con, like how I would feel on this, I'd be like, maybe 500. But the fact that we know that they're going to set them up to be one of the main leads in the next Avengers film, that's going to establish that. 2, it's coming out the week of Comic-Con. Deadpool and Wolverine came out the week of Comic-Con. They're probably going to do a screening there for Fantastic Four. That's going to be huge. On top of that, if they do this, and they showcase that, they may announce some things at Comic-Con that's going to make people flock out and want to go to the next weekend. I think word of mouth is going to be great on this. It's made by the guy who made WandaVision. You have an amazing cast, which, again, initially did not think they would work, and now just after seeing some of the conceptual stuff they've shot and saw it at Comic-Con, the film looks amazing. The whole idea that it's in a separate universe, there are so many fantastic fucking things about this movie, no pun intended, that I genuinely think it's going to make a fuck ton of money. I know it's coming out at a weird time. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think this film is going to succeed to such a high degree. And the last film that we have to talk about is also Superman, which I think makes around 750+ million as well. Both coming around the same time, both coming out the same month. Jurassic's going to make the most money out of both of them, but both of them have something special to do. Fantastic Four needs to set up the Fantastic Four in the MCU and also keep that goodwill going with the Marvel fan base. And Superman needs to kick off an entire new DC universe to the general going audience. If anything is to say, that trailer was amazing. It has the interest, and it's one of the most viewed trailers of all time. All the other films that have been the most viewed trailers of all time have hit $1 billion. I think there is an argument to be made that Superman could make $1 billion, but I need to see word of mouth. I need to genuinely see more general going audience being excited for this film, and I think that is when I will be sold on this movie hitting $1 billion. I think it gets pretty close, but Superman's going to make over 750+ million, and that is my box office guess, guys. So thank you so much again for watching this. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And again, shout out to Sean Chandler for setting up this tier list. Definitely saved me time from having to make my own, but we have quite a couple of videos coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm trying to find content that's fun to kick off the new year, show what I'm excited for, do some new rankings, maybe do a couple retro reviews before we really start getting the meat and potatoes of the year. Let me know down below what you guys are looking forward to. If you have any other video ideas, feel free to let me know. I'll be reading the comments. And of course, until next time, stay classy.